You are listening to the Feedbak Podcast.
This is Miko with the Feedbak Podcast. We're here at the historic and legendary Continental Club. We're here to interview two-time Grammy Award-winning Timothy Bloom.
There it is right there, out far in the distance. I can see it so clear. It's what I've been missing.
With Timothy Bloom at South by Southwest at the historic Continental Club. We're interviewing Timothy, who just did a fantastic show, engaging the audience. Everyone was loving it. And we just want to ask Timothy a few questions, sir, if you don't mind, with the Feedbak Podcast. And I know you're at South by here today, and you have a show tomorrow as well, but this is not your first time at South by. Can you talk a little bit about that first experience you had coming here?
It's the first experience here at South by Southwest was overwhelming because I didn't know what to expect. And I'm like especially on 6th Street, like when he's, there's like all these bands playing, you hear all this music coming. So I know I'm supposed to go to a show, but I want to stop at other shows and be like, hey, like, that's who I am. When I hear something amazing, I'm just going to stop, be like, I want to listen,
You love music as much as you love performing. You love to listen to it, don't you?
I love music. That's bottom line. You can't take me away from that.
So that brings us to a good transition. You love music. Where did that love come from? Where did it originate from? What was your background? Where did you first start doing music?
You know what? Like, I grew up in a church and listened to a lot of gospel music. So, like, from the Clark sisters to Williams brothers, like, all this amazing, like, music. And then, like, my god brothers and stuff like that, like, they were musicians as well too. And so I would, as a little kid, I would just sit and just watch them play. Like, my uncle Anthony King was an amazing guitar organist, and you just had to just watch him play. Like, you had no choice because it was angelic when he would just play. So I just grew a love for it. Like, music has been, number one, a therapy for me. It's been very therapeutic. So I'm in love with it.
When did you first take that love, that growing up in music with all the family, when did you take that and decide to make more of a career out of it, make more business out of it? When did that first step happen? Can you explain that?
You know what? I don't think I decided on making a career out of it. It just happened. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to go to the Marines. I wanted to go to the Marines and serve our country. But music was such a powerful force. It just took over,
How old were you? What time of your life was that when that happened? When it started taking over and you started doing this more for a living?
When I was 17 years old.
Wow. And explain that. What was some of the first things you did at 17?
Going on tour for a year. Germany. I went out to Germany for a year. I came back. And my first big record was working with Smokey Robinson.
A legend.
Yeah, that was like my first gateway into this music industry. So it's been.
How did you land that? That's a big name to write and produce for.
Well, my best friend, his dad was one of the first A&Rs from Motown. And so basically, him and Barry are really cool friends. Him and Smokey are really cool friends. And we were all in the back house in Los Angeles working on music. And then all of a sudden, Smokey Robinson walks in with these green eyes. You know what I'm saying? He's like, hey, Timothy, hey, man, you want to work on some music, man? Yeah. And it just, from there.
Went from there, but that's awesome. He took trust in somebody he didn't really know, but he knew you through someone and gave you that opportunity.
He heard the music.
When he walked in?
Yeah, he heard the music when he walked in, and he was very impressed with it.
Now, you were producing music at that point. Did you also songwrite as well at that point?
No, I was there to be an artist, number one, but I produce and write every single day. That it comes it's a natural thing, It's like.
And so you've been a singer, songwriter, producer for many years before you were performing for yourself. Is that correct? Or no?
No.
Okay, can you talk about that a little bit? And then what was that transition where you started doing more performance yourself?
Well, I've always been a performer.
Okay.
But I've been blessed to be able to write and produce for other artists, where that kind of came the niche, that became the thing, But Yeah, man, I love performing. I love performing. I love being on stage, and that's just automatic.
Yeah,
I also love producing and writing as well too.
And just for everyone watching, Timothy went out there at one point and hugged everyone in the crowd. He loved them so much, and the energy he gave back. That was awesome, Timothy. So with that in mind, you talked about you love producing, you love singing. You have your hands in a lot of musical cookie jars, right? How did that change and develop the music that you do? The fact that you can produce, sing, songwrite, you play a couple of instruments as well, right? Just talk about the instruments you play and how that influences music that you ultimately perform.
I like to research. I'm a researcher of music. So the number one thing for me is being able to go to like the difficult places, like if it's classical music or it's jazz or whatever. Like I like studying music, and what I'll do is I'll sit for hours on my craft. You know what? And if you sit for hours on your craft, what happens?
Practice makes perfect,
right? So that's who I am. I love to play. I love to write. I love to research music. You know, I'm like a connoisseur of it. So by me doing that, it's just allowed me to create this body of work, or create just I don't know, man.
So it's like you take a fusion of different genres in your research that you've done to produce what you do, a whole new element of music. That's great. I love the different styles you had while you're performing, whether it be bluesy, more soulful, the singing, the more upbeat. I mean, I see all that influence in that, right? With that being said, you've had some success in your life recently with working with some Grammy award-winning artists, as well as getting that yourself. Can you talk about that and the process to get you there and what that was like when the awards were won?
I think everything that's pretty much happened in my life has been serendipitous. Like my first Grammy was working with Neo, and how that went down is like somebody had a friend of mine, she was on tour with him dancing and had my track, and he heard it and was like, I need that. And he wrote to it, and then next moment, like, we're winning a Grammy for it. Chris Brown, working with him, he heard my music because when I was signed to Interscope, and he wanted some of the records that was going on the album.
Right.
And I was like, you can't have these records, but I could make, something for you. And that's what happened, and we won a Grammy for that. So, right place, right time. God is always working for me. So I just all praise to God.
Yes, it's awesome. And you've been good about taking opportunity when it knocks, right? So as that happened, you took advantage of that. With that being said, what does the future hold for you? You have a new album that came out with some new songs on there at Lean EP. Are you on tour right now, right?
I'm doing spot dates. Right now, I came out with a record called The Beginning last year, which is a part one of a series that we're doing. So part two is coming out in April. We're finishing up. And then the tour stuff, I'm gonna wait a little bit. I wanna make sure that I have all the EPs out, finish up this series, and then we'll maximize on this tour once that's done. But right now, I'm just enjoying South by Southwest, these small little spot dates. New York has been pretty awesome. LA's been awesome, allowing me to just come in and perform at their venues and stuff like that. So I'm having fun, man.
Is anybody looking forward to see here at South by while you're here and not performing? You said you love to listen to music, right?
I'm just gonna go down 6th Street and just find whatever I can.
Follow your ears, like Toucan Sam. So, with your audience engagement in your show, surely there's been some stories you've had and talking to people, or just a reaction to what you do when you're on stage. Any stories or quick stories you'd like to share with us about that performance?
No stories, man. I just get on stage and I just allow God to take over. I feel a lot of energy, so I run with that. There's a lot of broken souls out there. And so I think with music, you're able to make people smile. You can make people smile. You can uplift them. So my duty is to do that. You know what I'm saying? To uplift and to make people smile, have fun. If we had a bad day today, hey, guess what? We're about to have some fun right now, okay? Get up. It's all good.
It's almost like you're a happy doctor, right? You're just trying to relieve them of that stress.
Yes.
with that in your performance and engaging them, is every show different? Are you vibing off the crowd and improvising as it goes? Did you do that today as well? Oh, that's awesome.
Every show is different.
It's not. When it comes to rehearsing the songs itself, are y'all rehearsing something improv? And when I say rehearsing, I mean leaving space for it.
Yeah, well, no, they didn't know I was going to do that.
That's great, though. The band was able to adjust so quickly.
Yeah, they didn't know I was going to do that.
But it worked, and the crowd loved it, enjoyed it, Timothy. Well, we want to wrap things up. If there's any questions for the audience anybody has. Timothy, thanks. Have a great South by Southwest, sir. You had an amazing performance. We look forward to seeing you. Love you, America. Timothy Blue.